life. So if you want to know what that means, let's have a one-on-one. All
You're
right,
live.
now enough of me. Thank you, thank you. You are such a rule follower. You're so good. No, actually, it's really funny because when I'm up talking, I go around here and it's the same thing in my networking group. There are 40 people there, and they'll all go in and I'll be last and I'll introduce myself. Nobody, it's like crickets. Nobody says, what am I, chopped liver? I mean, just because I'm here and running the meeting, you don't have to apply. Anyway, so never mind. That's a personal issue. Sorry.
That's okay. We'll
Too
allow
much
you
information.
soapbox
Too
for
much
just a
information.
moment. Just a moment.
So, Collette Portis, let me introduce her. I'm very excited that she's here. And today she's going to be talking about the purpose to your profit. I like the title. I'm very excited about that. Give you a few things about Collette, and for those on the both LinkedIn Live and Facebook Live audiences, welcome. And she's the founder and visionary of Collette Portis and Company LLC and Destined Designs. Collette has been coaching business owners, entrepreneurs, executive leaders, basically on the strategies to grow and expand their business and the vision. She's a business coach. She identifies as a business coach and a strategist. She's been on Realize Destiny Radio. She's the author of a highly sought after book called Goalie. And I'm not even going to read it because grafting objectives around longevity and entrepreneurship, I guess I did read it. A strategic planning system, which is very cool. Again, I mean, if you're on LinkedIn Live, you definitely ought to connect with her. She has a diverse portfolio of clients. What that means is she helps a lot of different kinds of people, which is very cool. And she's from Grand Rapids, Michigan. I lived in Michigan for 18 years. Actually, we got connected, and I'm excited that somebody else who spent did their penance in Michigan is here. Because I didn't grow up there, and believe me, I got out of there as fast as I could because I hate winter. But anyway, it's great. This time of year, if you want to go to Michigan, this is when to do it, right? So anyway, so great there. She's worked with churches, Northville Public Schools. I actually know where that is. Grand Rapids, I know where that is. Fifth Third Bank, which I was introduced in Michigan. That's a weird thing. Fifth Third Bank. Anyway, but she's worked with a lot of different clients, and I could probably go on and on, but let's get into Collette Portis. Come on in. Let me give you a hand. There you go. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for the great introduction. I am so excited to be here talking to you all. First of all, you guys are a great group because you're funny. I like funny people. I enjoy laughing and having a great time. And why is that? Because every single day I get to do what I love. And people don't understand the freedom in that until you get to the other side and you can experience it for yourself. So I am going to be talking about the purpose to your profit. And I know I'm a PhD candidate, so you go, that sentence is not structured correctly, but I promise you it will make sense when I'm done. And so why does purpose lead to profit? Well, first of all, I'm going to start by, we already did that, telling you my story, okay? So I come from a family of entrepreneurs. My grandparents on my father's side, my grandparents on my mother's side, my father, my aunts, all entrepreneurs. At one point, my mom had this entrepreneurial spirit where she would sell lemon meringue pies, but now that she's in her 60s, she doesn't even remember that she did that. And I tell my son all the time, when I get to that place, just, have a little mercy on me. So, but I grew up in this family that was full of entrepreneurs in Michigan. And so our days every day from Memorial Day to Labor Day was at the beach by 9 a.m. every day. Leave the beach at dusk, and then my family would go to their respective businesses that evening and do their work. So I had no clue or concept about a time clock until I was 27. And then I thought, is this really how people live their lives? Like, you really have to ask permission to go to the potty and to get lunch, and all very foreign to me. So it was culture shock. And when I started my career as an employee, I started working for the federal government at 14 years old. At 15, 16, I was deploying and training reservists. But guess what? The federal government doesn't have a time clock. right? So you don't punch anything. So I didn't have to do that. And I had the freedom to move around as much as I wanted to. And so I did. And I loved what I did. But what I realized as an adult is, I would go start a job, which they always loved me. I would do what the job description said for 30 days. Like, I would literally give them 30 good days. I knew exactly what the job description said. I did that. Listen, on day 31, Collette is, okay, we've moved on. We've conquered that mountain, and I'm going to go figure out what my own job description is, and I'm going to do that. So I had the opportunity at 16 to develop the first external website for the federal government. How did that happen? Because I leaned back in my chair and said, hey, can I do this? And they're like, yeah. Just do whatever. Do whatever you want. Just don't bother us. And so I did. So I had an opportunity to do all of these amazing things, never really understanding or realizing that the entrepreneur in me was being stirred up, and I was using my skills, and I was using what I saw my family do every day. But I did what they told me to do. And what they told me to do was what? Go to school, right? Get a degree, get a good job. And so I got 5, almost done with number 6. I do not recommend anybody do that. You don't need 6 degrees. I don't care what you're doing in the world. But I did that. Why? Because they told me that this was the path to success. This is how you get there, right? This is how you become rich. This is how you are able to live the life you want to lead. So after about $165,000 in student loan debt, I came to realize that this probably really isn't the path. And so I made a major shift. What I knew before I started was that I should have started a business. Let the state know that I had started a business. Started my first business when I was 14 years old. My aunts were hairstylists. We had to be in the salon on weekends, sweeping floors and washing hair and stuff like that. So naturally I picked up some skills. Well, I started doing my friends' hair, my family's hair at 14, but I understood business. I can't tell you how I did. I hadn't gone to business school at that point, and they don't teach that to you in school. But I understood that if I had supplies, I needed this much supplies, right, to service this much demand. I knew my hours. My clients knew my hours. I knew how much I would make. I made $500 a week out of my house every day. Every week. Thursday, Friday, Saturday. I was done by 2 p.m. on Saturday, and they knew it because my priority was to be at the mall by 3 because I needed to buy shoes. That was my life, right? So that's who I was at 14. I started designing as a graphic designer at 12 years old. My parents still don't know. Good thing they don't know how to use Facebook or LinkedIn. I cried until my mom would let me go to my grandmother's house for spring break. And the reason was there was a summer camp that was a computer camp that was at the school down the street. So I wake up in the morning. My mom finally says yes after a week and a half. I wake up that morning at 7:30 in the morning. I'm getting dressed. My stepdad goes, "Where are you going at 7:30 in the morning during spring break?" So I said, "I'm going to the school." Never a bad kid. So he thought, okay, she's probably really going to the school. Watch me walk out of the house and into the school, and there they changed my life. Now, raise your hand if you know what DOS is. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's how long I've been designing. They taught us how to use DOS, right? Letters and numbers, black screen, blinking cursor, no mouse. We didn't have those at that time, no internet. Computers didn't even have pictures on them at that moment in time. They taught us how to take letters and numbers, create a man, and make him walk from the left to the right side of the screen. My mind was blown. I was like, I'm doing this forever because this is fantastic, right? So I did that. Fast forward to all of the degrees and all of that stuff. And then I have a come to Jesus meeting, and I'm like, Jesus, well, I moved back to Texas to take care of my family, and I need a job. I had gotten my master's degree. I hadn't gotten a job, and it was simple. Go do what I told you to do. And I was like, I can't do that, right? Which was start my business. Finally, I surrendered, started the business, said yes, never left my room. Nobody knew. sitting on my bed, I say yes, I get 7 clients that day. I'm like, you've got jokes, come on. Like, it's okay, I said yes already, but you gotta, rub it in by giving me 7 clients. Trust me, I was not mad, but that is what it ended up being. So, started my business about a year into the design firm, which was Destin Design. About a year in, I realized that my clients or my work was dying because I was working primarily with small businesses and churches. And as a result, I was like, I have to figure out a way to help them. And then I had an experience where I came to understand that I had been helping businesses grow forever. And so I decided, you know what, I'm going to help them grow. And so I started coaching them. Well, not really realizing that other businesses that I had been in, I had been coaching anyway. But I hadn't really identified with that because remember, my job description didn't say that that's what I did. I just kind of took off and did that on my own. So I started to do that, and I realized that by coaching my business owners, I was helping them grow, and they were still around. So all but 2 of them are still around to this day. And so we've been on this journey for about 5 years. That is how we got to Collette Portis & Co. So as a business coach, I love business. I live, breathe, eat it. I'm always reading. And so I was reading an article on Inc.com called The 3 Big Reasons Why Purpose Leads to Profits. And the quote says, profits seem to be more of a byproduct of focusing on your company's purpose or mission. Identifying the impact you want to have on the world will ultimately lead to profits and sustainable success. So I thought, okay, profits seem to be a byproduct. It's not the source, but it's kind of what happens as a result of connecting with purpose. And then I thought about my own life, and I thought about myself, and I thought about the feedback that people give me. And they say, when you walk into a room, why are you always excited? And why are you always happy? And people are attracted to me because of the energy that I bring. And my answer is always because my day is amazing. It doesn't matter how rough it is. It doesn't matter if my AdWords aren't working, right? My day is still amazing. At the end of the day, it was still an amazing day, no matter what happened, because guess what I get to do? I get to do what I love every day. I call myself the dream whisperer. And the reason is I personally believe that God gave me the distinct honor to know the secrets that he told you. And then people share those secrets with me, and I get to help them materialize it so that it impacts the world in a great way, because my belief is all of us have greatness in us. So that greatness is your purpose. So let me ask, what is your ideal day? Tell me what your ideal day looks like in your business. Anybody? Nobody? Go ahead.
My AdWords is working. And 5 inquiries have happened, and I've deployed my salesperson, and my administration help has facilitated the production of the other jobs from the previous week.
Awesome. Great. But I'm going to make you think a lot further.
Oh no.
Yes,
Oh, no.
it's happening, right? You thought because you sat in the back that this wasn't going to happen, but I always pick on the guy in the
It
back.
always happens.
Yeah.
So that's why I sit in the back. So I get a day off.
Oh, I was the one tricked. Got it. So, no, I want to know, on the day where you sit back and you look at your business and you go, man, I did it. Like, what does that day look like? What does that day look like when you feel like, you know what, I really could probably walk away from this thing and it'll keep on going? What does that day look like?
That day looks like me reviewing about 11 o'clock the Dorbo website, which is the Dallas Off-Road Mountain Bike Association, and me heading to the house picking up my mountain bike while everything else is getting done, and I'm at the trails.
I like it, right? You are on the trails on your bike.
Yes.
Hopefully you got your helmet on.
Yes, I do.
Yes, okay, awesome. Anybody else's ideal day? Yes.
My ideal day is that Jenna automated absolutely everything through CarTrack, which means all I ever have to do is actually just show up to a session on my workshop, but everything before and everything after and everything in between flows like a beautiful ocean on a sunny day.
Yes.
And the sound whispers, Warfare marketing is your solution to the ideal day.
I love that, right? Everybody's ideal day is different. My ideal day is I am somewhere on an island, my feet are in the sand, my favorite drink is in my hand. I keep hearing that ding you hear on your phone when you get new money through, what is it? What's the Stripe, PayPal, Cash App, any of those, that ding, those are all my favorite dings. I'm like that, it's musical, like it's like an orchestra. All of these dings keep coming in. That's my ideal day. Well, the question is, how do you get there, right? So if I'm talking to a client, their initial meeting with me, we need to figure that out. What is your ideal day? Because that's what we're driving to. My job is to make you the first person you fire. How's that possible? You know, there might be some employees that I have to fire along the way, but if we do this right, there could be minimal employees that you have to fire along the way. And if you have to let them go, you have to let them go for a reason, and you don't feel bad about it because you know that either this was standing in their way or they were standing in your way, and so you go, we have to split. We split on good terms, but we have to split. But what does your ideal day look like, and how do we drive to that place? Well, the first thing you have to do when you're thinking about your ideal day is, what's the reason why you're doing this? I was on a radio show on the Women's Network for Women yesterday on a Selling in a Skirt radio show. And one of the questions they asked was, what is your why? And how do you connect to your why? Well, one of the first things I said, because I was talking to women on the Women's Network, well, of course there were guys too, but predominantly the audience is women, I said, let me tell you something. Let me tell you who your why is not. It is not those kids. I'm sorry to break it to you, it's not. Because one day Johnny is going to drive you crazy, and Johnny might be ungrateful that day, and then do you just disconnect from everything? No longer running the insurance agency. Johnny's acting up. I'm just going to retire and let it go. No, your why is not that. Your why is your reason for connecting with the world, because I think we are all great in our own way, and our role and responsibility here is to offer the world your greatness. That's what we owe the planet. You know, you bury a seed, it gives you a tree, right? Well, what happens with us? I think oftentimes we don't think about that. It's not that we're just here sucking in air, drinking up the water, eating all the food. We have greatness, and we owe it back to the world. We have to give some nourishment back to the world, just like everything else that was created. That's your greatness. Your purpose is derived from that. One of the things that I know about myself is that I will go to Ethiopia and build communities. That's what drives me every day. Even when my son smells all the way from Chicago, the checks coming in, I don't get how he does it. It's like the dinner bell rings in his head or something. And he knows money's coming, so he's calling. I'm like, dude, can I get it? Can I have it? Can I look at it first before you want some of it, right? That's what happens. But when you're talking about purpose, it's really, if it's connected to the money, it's connected to the money because it's connected to that greater purpose. Well, if I'm going to go to Ethiopia and build communities, they certainly won't let me do that for potato chips. No, right? I can't necessarily barter my time to get there and do that. It's going to take resources. It's going to take money. So every day I'm thinking about that. Okay, I need to get to my ideal day. I need to get to the purpose for which I believe that I'm here. So anybody want to share with me their why or their purpose? You're smiling.
No, I'm enjoying your show.
Okay. Anybody?
Sure.
Yes.
So I just always want to be able to have a lasting impact on at least 80% of the people I meet.
Oh, I love that.
And so that's one of the reasons I chose this industry.
Yeah.
I've been fortunate to do some things in my life where I know I've had impact and made a difference. And so I came back to this industry because I know that I can do that and be compensated for it, which is nice. So I continue to do other things. So it's strange for me. being in this business, I don't actually believe in retirement. I don't think it really exists.
I'm with
So
you.
I'm gonna do this until I can go and do impact a different way, where I don't need a paycheck, whether that be some sort of policy level, geek stuff, whatever. But that's, yeah. So this is, and it's different. It's one family at a time here, but then it's gonna be exponential later.
What's amazing about purpose is it's connected to all the people you really don't know. You just know somewhere some people exist that need what you have to offer. And when, you, as he said, tell me your name again.
Eric.
Eric, because you know I was going to call
It's
you
not
Kevin.
I will always
It's
call
Kevin.
you Eric. You are Eric Hall with the cowboy hat.
You are Eric Hall with the cowboy hat. Now you live in the Eric portion of my brain instead of the Kevin.
With the cowboy hat.
With the cowboy hat, yes. So, if you notice when he mentioned his why didn't stop at, I want to impact the lives of 80% of the people. I want to impact the lives of 80% of the people that I come into contact so that I can go and, your why always drives you from place to place. And the place gets greater and the place oftentimes gets you further away from the revenue generation piece, because you understand that this impact of 80 lives is what's going to seed my opportunity to go impact these lives. And so oftentimes we think the purpose might be, you know, to create more wealth or generate more wealth. I personally believe that I will generate 5 generations of wealth for my family, and that will continue after me. Well, that's not the purpose, though. Why do I want to do that? Because I want to pay it forward as much as I possibly can. I love paying it forward. I love to go into the grocery store and leave $100 gift card for the family behind me to pay for their groceries. They don't know who did it. The cashier didn't tell them because I told them not to. Tell them who did it, and by that time I'm out of the store. I love that. Could you imagine if I had $1 billion, what I could do? What? Right? All these shows you watch that make you cry, you could just call and say, hey, I need to know who the producer is so I can resolve whatever this issue is. Or someone walking down the street, whatever. It gives you an opportunity to change lives. Purpose is life-changing. That's what purpose is. Purpose is not necessarily directly connected to the people you're already responsible for. If your purpose isn't life-changing, rethink it. The other thing, too, is defining what the dream is. Because the purpose and the dream are different. The dream could be, I will have 10 locations because I franchised my business. That could be the dream. But the dream leads to the purpose. Because the dream is what seeds me being able to serve the 80%, and then me being able to X, Y, Z. Does that make sense? So connect with your dream. How do you even get to a dream and a purpose? How do I even come to understand who I am and what my greatness is and how I give that back to the earth? How do I understand that? One question I always ask, what is the thing that you can do for 3 days straight? You don't have to eat, you don't have to drink, you don't have to sleep. What is it? Anybody?
Think.
Think?
Dream.
Dream? Well, you.
Meditation.
So, okay, meditation.
No.
Meditate.
She meant dream. So what I was saying is you don't have to sleep to dream. You can do it in a
Oh,
meditative state.
okay, yeah. I was like,
I can watch TV for 3 days.
well, what are you watching?
Breaking Bad for 3 days.
Are you gonna eat? You're at least gonna eat.
But you said I wasn't.
Or maybe
gonna eat
breathe.
You said I
No, you
wasn't
don't
gonna
have to.
eat or drink or sleep, didn't you?
You're gonna eat if you're watching Breaking Bad.
No? You said I
Yes.
couldn't eat, couldn't drink?
No, you're not gonna
Yes, I
eat,
do.
you're not gonna drink, you're not gonna eat, you're not gonna sleep,
Dead.
you're not gonna do any of it. What can you do? But if you seriously take that question serious,
Well, I eat
and you
coffee.
really think about it, it takes you to the place where your greatness is. If that doesn't get you there, then the other question is, what do people always come to you for? Why do people come to you? It could be your family goes, if we're having a reunion, you're bringing a potato salad. That could actually be your area of greatness. It sounds simple, but you could end up being the best potato salad sold in the world. You just never know. But you have to try and figure out what's my area of greatness. that's going to bring you the most joy, because then what you realize is whatever your area of greatness is, your experiences will directly connect. Your quirks in life will directly connect. I have an author, it took me 20 years to get him to finish his manuscript. 20 years, right? You would think it does not take anybody 20 years to write a book. And he started to feel really bad because it took him 20 years to finish the book. Well, number one, we haven't even had a chance to celebrate the fact that you finished the book, because I'm thinking we should celebrate it took 20 years. That's number one. But the other piece is your life hasn't given you what you needed in order to finish it. And in his mind, he thought that I'm just not getting it done. And it's like, no, because when we went back and we started to read, then we realized that you didn't know some of this stuff 20 years ago. I have another client who's an artist, and she goes, listen, I'm just not organizing. I'm really working to try and be organized. And I go, most artistic people are not organized because their brain doesn't work that way. Your brain needs to work in the abstract. My niece, whose room in my mind is a total mess, in her mind is completely organized. But to the rest of the world, we don't know how she finds anything in there, but she knows exactly where it is. Your quirks connect with your purpose. Your quirks connect with the dream. Your quirks connect with your greatness. The question is, how do you use them? Your quirks are your tools. Those things that you use every day. Remember, I was telling you I would do the job description for 30 days, and day 31, I'm going to create my own. Well, the creating of my own was, I'd be talking to some executive, and they go, that's a great idea. Do you mind showing me how to do that? And I'd go, sure, let's do it. And they would keep coming back to me, so I would never be at my desk because I was out doing other stuff. I've always been who I am. And so if you connect your dream, if you connect with the dream and you begin to understand your vision, because life has already had you there. You've already been doing it. You've already been using some of the tools, but once you connect to the dream and the purpose, then you understand the proper use of the tools, which then heightens what you're doing every day. And then expanding your vision. So Eric said, I want to impact the lives of 80% of the people that I come into contact with. And then after that, I want to go do X, Y, Z. That's the expansion of your vision. My personal belief is that we, as entrepreneurs, most certainly get a lot of ideas, right? And 9 times out of 10, as an entrepreneur, we get lots of ideas and we start on them all right now, because most of us are go-getters. We are doers, so we will go do. If you tell us to do something, we go get it done. That's what happens. My personal belief is you get the idea because there's an understanding that you will do. But does that mean you need to do it right now? Right? I always share the story of Oprah Winfrey. When she decided that she was no longer doing the Oprah Winfrey Show anymore, she went and told the executives, and that was it. She got on a plane, was on her way to her school in Africa, as I remember the story. And she is thinking, oh crap, what did I just do? Like, did I just say that I'm not doing that anymore? This has been my life. I've done this, I think it was 20 years or so, something like that. And so she realized that she wasn't doing that anymore, and it was like, what am I going to do? And now she's crying because I don't know what I'm doing next. She opens a notebook, and in the notebook is OWN, O-W-N, the Oprah Winfrey Network. She had written it down, I think 15, 20 years before she got to the place, to that day. It was an idea she had gotten a long time ago, but was that idea right for that moment that she got the idea? No, she wrote it down. So sometimes getting to the purpose, getting to the vision, getting to the dream means you're not doing everything right now, because sometimes the idea can become noise. And the noise can keep you from driving to the dream, or driving to the purpose, or driving to the vision. That doesn't mean that it's not a part of the vision. That doesn't mean it's not a part of the dream. It is. But when you put together a puzzle, right? You pour all the pieces out on the table, and those who do puzzles all the time typically will separate by color and things like that. Well, just because you touched it doesn't mean you're going to use it right now. No, you're going to begin to put the puzzle together, and then you'll start to discover, oh, this piece goes here and that piece goes there. But immediately from the beginning, you don't automatically know where all the pieces go. Well, that's the way life is made. That's the way life works. It's a puzzle. And so you start to get all of these pieces. And when you get all of these pieces, you have to figure out where these pieces go. Does that mean the piece goes somewhere today? Sometimes it means the piece goes nowhere for 20 years. And then all of a sudden, the piece works. Sometimes the piece is people. Sometimes we have people connected to us who don't necessarily understand our vision, understand the dream, understand our purpose, but they're connected to us, and you have to disconnect just because life gets you to that place where you have to disconnect. Some incident happened. That doesn't mean that piece will never come back around and connect with your puzzle. That just means that at this moment in time, it had to disconnect. You had to disconnect because there's no space. We haven't gotten to the place where this piece actually connects. So, what I want you to remember is first, figure out what you can do for 3 days straight. You don't have to eat, you don't have to drink, you don't have to sleep. Knowing that sometimes that might not be your actual greatness. So I'll share my story. The way I built a website, I literally stayed up for 3 days. Didn't eat, didn't sleep. I worked building this website. I fed my family, but I didn't have time to eat because I was so wrapped up in building this website. I did that and I realized I love this. I love it so much that although my desk was right by the kitchen, I wouldn't take time to get up and get food. I had water, so I was fine. But I loved doing what I was doing so much that everything else was not that important because this is what I love so much. I started the design firm and then realized that although I love this and I'm really great at this, my purpose is growing business. And that is what I've done my whole life. Although I really like designing, what I absolutely love and what all of my corks fit into and all of my pieces seem to connect with is growing businesses. That's what I do. So I believe that everybody has a spark. And the spark is what leads you to the purpose. Figure out what that is. And sometimes that means you're already in your circle or your general area. You could be in insurance. One of the things that you said is, I focus on helping seniors. I would assume that's because you really love working with seniors. That's your niche. You probably really understand how they talk, what they think, how they function, how they want you to communicate with them. It is so important as a business owner to figure that out. Because a lot of times what happens is we go, I'm helping everybody because I got it and what I have is wonderful. And everybody's going to want it because it's great, right? Now, that doesn't mean that it's not wonderful, and that doesn't mean that it's not great. But the truth of the matter is everybody doesn't want it. Everybody could very well need it. Everybody needs water, right? That don't mean they want your water. Does that make sense? So you have to find the people who want what you have, who need what you have, and have the resources to pay you for what you have. That's important, right? Because if they see the value in what you have, then we spend the money on the things we see value in. If you have children or grandchildren, we see value in taking a vacation and allowing them to have experiences. We do that, and so we will. However, if you don't figure out what your area is, what your greatness is, who you're here to talk to, then oftentimes you try and talk to everybody and nobody hears you. All right, so I'm going to tell my Facebook Live story. So I want everybody to get in their mind the tech-savvy teenager. Got them? In your life, you know, right? Okay. Now I want you to get in your mind your 55-year-old sister, brother, auntie, cousin, whoever. Got them in your mind? Grandpa. Is grandpa in your mind? Right? All right. So we've got these three people, and we tell them, here, come, everybody, sit here at the table. I'm telling everybody how to go live on Facebook. Right? Is that one conversation or three?
Grandpa ain't doing that.
Right? 3 conversations. So let me tell you what happened. The tech-savvy teenager ascends out of their bedroom looking disturbed because you did disturb them, because at that moment they were on Instagram on their phone, they were on Snapchat on their laptop while having Apple TV up and watching movies on Netflix. All 3 at the same time, because that's what they do. I don't understand how they do it all at the same time, right? That's what they were doing, and you disturbed them. And while descending out of their room, they've kind of got their phone down here. You don't really know it, because they've got you on Facebook Live right now. And they're laughing with all of their friends about how you think you're going to tell them how to go live on Facebook while they have you live on Facebook. So they're obedient, so they come out and they sit at the table. The 55-year-old sister, brother, auntie, cousin, sitting at the table. Can anybody tell me what the problem is with them?
Which one?
The 55-year-old. We don't know our freaking password. It's going to take 30 minutes for us to figure this thing out. We got a new phone. We haven't figured out how to log into everything yet because we got a new phone. So there's another issue. Now let's talk about Grandpa. So Grandpa has his shoes on. He's grabbed his jacket because you said that we were going somewhere, right? And Grandpa can't understand why all of you youngins don't have your jacket and your shoes on because we are going somewhere, right? So now we have to help Grandpa understand that we're not physically going anywhere, but it's called going live on Facebook. What is Facebook, right? Facebook is on what? And baby, tell me why this doodad you're working with is not plugged into the wall, but it's still on. How does that work out, right? Because Grandpa doesn't have a cell phone. Grandpa is anything like my mother. She calls it Spacebook. She told me to Google her one day. She doesn't even have a cell phone. I'm like, Bev, you don't even have a cell phone. So how am I going to Google you? You probably have no digital footprint in the whole world. She still drives around and pays her bills in cash. Nobody does that, right? Grandpa has no idea. Grandpa thinks that little thing that slides out of the computer is a place to hold your cup. We're like, no, Grandpa, that's where you put a disk at, right? You got to give Grandpa a whole history of computers and then the internet, and then we can possibly get to Facebook. We haven't even gotten to Facebook Live yet. We're 90 days into this thing with Grandpa, right? So we're 90 days into this thing with Grandpa. The teenager has ascended back into their room. The 55-year-old has gone to cook dinner because the teenager helped them to figure their password out. And nobody ever got shown how to go live on Facebook. If we don't figure out who we're talking to, then we don't know how to speak the language that helps them to understand what we're trying to convey, right? And so it doesn't matter if we understand our dream, if we understand our purpose. If we can't convey that message to someone else, then we're going to render ourselves ineffective. So, I leave you with this. Figure out who you are, what you do, what problem you resolve in the market. All right? What is my purpose? What makes me feel good every day? What's the work that makes me happy and maximizes the strengths that I have? What's my ideal day look like? And how do I get there? That's the importance of strategy planning. Is it helps you to get to where you're trying to go. And then lastly, who am I helping? Who am I helping at this point? And how do I talk to them? How do I communicate with them? Where do they want me to communicate with them at? Do I send them something in the mail? Do I use Snapchat? Are they on Instagram? Are they on Facebook? Because all of those audiences are different. Any questions?
Let's do it. And then we do have a second for questions. It's about little.
4
about eight-
minutes for questions.
About 8 minutes still, so we got a couple minutes, so. Any questions?
I just want to say I really loved your quote, and I put it on LinkedIn with your name. If your purpose is not life-changing, rethink it. You know, that was really, really good.
Your purpose has to change the lives of other people that are not directly connected to you.
If your purpose is not life-changing, what?
Rethink it.
Any
Good
other-
word, good word. Anything else? Any other questions? Did you figure out your purpose?
Sure.
To get the
So normally, David is our purpose guy.
Oh,
He's trying to constantly get them to find their vision and their why and their purpose. And it's like pulling
But it
teeth.
feels like 15.
but it's, I promise you, if you find it, oh my God, you literally spring out of bed. I don't use an alarm clock. It doesn't matter what time I have to be anywhere. I look at my calendar before I go to bed. I tell my brain that I need to be somewhere, and my body gets
Well,
me up.
let me give you a secret,
Give me
okay?
a
I've been retired since 2005, so retirement does exist. The key here is, the key is, okay, but see,
This is retirement.
your problem is, the problem you have, which is a problem, you've been trained on what retirement is, and it's definitely not what you were trained to say it was. Retirement is doing what you want, with who you want, when you want, and where
Or
you
as
want.
long as you.
And where you want, as long as you want. I'm retired because I'm living my ideal day every
Yes.
day. So it was basically, I get up in the morning, I don't schedule meetings generally before 10. I work out in the morning, I see the people I wanna see, I talk to the people I wanna talk to, I make myself available for what I call divine appointments, and I go through the day, and I'm able to experience, and being here, hearing you, introducing, having an opportunity to see Karen, Greg, Kevin, Eric, sorry, I got a mess with you, sorry.
I
Dagmar,
will always
Jenna,
call you
I mean,
Eric.
that's all part of my design. May
Yes.
not be your design, but when my parents, when they grew up and they said retirement, right?
Yes.
It was doing nothing. It's
Yes.
like, okay, I'm just gonna go on, lay on the beach, I'm
Yeah.
gonna, that's part of but it's not every day,
Yeah,
right?
absolutely.
Can you do it every day?
yeah, no,
There's a lot of things, I love playing golf, but I would get sick of it if I played every day.
yeah.
I love my kids, but they got sick of me after about 6 months after I retired and said, Dad, go do something else, we
Yeah.
got a life,
Yeah.
right? So
Absolutely.
it's very cool. Anyway, that was awesome,
Well, thank
really
you.
good. Let's give her another hand. This is-